Would you like a little more foreplay in your life? I mean, specifically brain foreplay. Well then, tune in to the most dynamic host, Dr. Rick Perea, performance psychologist to professional athletes and the stars. No failure is final, and no topic is off limits. It's time to get real and get your checkup from the neck up here at Brain Foreplay on Mental Monday.
I had to be like that much because most of it was my money.
How fun.
I know, right?
Wow.
But you know what? I would do it again because welcome everyone to Brain Foreplay, where you get your checkup from the neck up on Mental Mondays. Today I want to talk about a technique called Conscious Uncoupling. It's an alternative to divorce, if you will. You know, recently I went through a divorce about 3 years ago, and in all transparency, I think the system is broke. It really is. It takes people's money and it just uses it. It takes it from people who work hard for their money. And there's just fees and fees and fees, attorney fees, forensic accountants. Forensic accountant? What do? They go in through your books and they look at them and they determine whether you have secret contracts and secret money. So I understand the need in some situations to pay attorneys, to pay accountants, to pay a multitude of professionals to get to the bottom of information if there's some untruths going on, if there's some people who are not very necessarily ethical and their morale development is lacking, then I understand maybe in a few cases you may need those professionals. But in a case like mine where I, was being honest and being truthful, and my ex-partner also knew what my income was because she was in business with me, there's a really easy way to do it. You make an offer, they accept it, you settle, and then you get divorced. However, it doesn't always happen that clean. So what we have developed in the field of psychology, again, PhD, Rick Perea, in psychology, we have developed what we call conscious uncoupling. And what that means is you consciously uncouple. So you come to sessions with your partner, soon to be ex-partner, and you learn to uncouple. And what that means is you sit down and negotiate the negotiables, the children, the educational schools they're going to go to, the finances, how you're going to navigate this, even for future reference, how to come back to the table and renegotiate if you need to be. And it's very, very systematic. It's very conscious. It really cultivates two people working together and getting along and really understanding, especially when you have children, that you are going to have to co-parent with that ex-partner possibly for years to come. And what can happen in the divorce process, what happened in my experience, prior to attorneys getting involved, we got along pretty well. Once the attorneys got involved, I am convinced that they cultivated a conflict within us, and voila, 2 to 3 years later, we're minus $200,000, and we can't stand each other. So figure that out, if that process works. With conscious uncoupling, you literally sit down in a calm manner. There's no conflict. In fact, you both come to the table knowing that you want to uncouple. And the term is very, very descriptive. You literally say, okay, this is what we developed over 10 years, 20 years, 30 years in our marriage, and this is how we're going to uncouple it, unwind it, undo it, so we can have mental health, physical health, emotional health, and more importantly, a really healthy emotional base for the children. That is the key. That's the most important thing we see that really is a beneficiary out of uncoupling is those kiddos, people. We've got to put them first. And so with conscious uncoupling, We literally look at past wounds. Here's the title. We look at past wounds, and we do talk about them, because I am a psychologist. You are working with a psychologist, a mental health professional. As an attorney, they're not trained to understand emotions. They're not trained how to regulate emotions. I believe they're trained how to ignite emotions, and that's what can happen, and that's why there's a fight. The longer there's a fight, there's more billable hours. Think about that, people, okay? You learn how to separate as partners in a journey. So like you got married to probably stay married. You didn't plan to get divorced, I don't think. So you learn how to unwind that in a journey. What's it going to look like in 2 years, in 5 years? And you literally write down and come to an agreement. These sessions usually last between 10 and 15 sessions to really uncouple a couple in a very satisfactory reason and way, with the goal and the objective to be emotional and psychological health, so there's a great foundation for the children. The third step is there's a social awareness. Like, who am I now? As we've been a couple for 10, 15, 20 years. Who am I now as an independent person, as an independent parent attempting to co-parent? So we really go through the process and help people understand, who am I now? Who do I want to be? And really help them get in touch with each other. And in fact, we've done such a cool job with this uncoupling process. Sometimes couples get in these sessions and realize they want to stay together. Imagine that, okay? So it's a very humanistic, kind, and loving process. The last bullet point I want to talk about is you will learn new knowledge about yourself. You will come to a new awareness about who you are. Because when you decide to get divorced, there's a reason why. Maybe it's conflict, maybe it's different belief systems, different value systems. You grew apart. Grew apart is very oversimplistic. So there is a change in belief systems or value systems, or perhaps there was infidelity in the marriage. Whatever it is, we help you learn from that process and grow from that process. Not get angry, not get frustrated. Remember, people, anger and frustration are secondary emotions. Hurt and fear are primary emotions. We help you stay in a primary emotion so that you can be healthy, not only for yourself and potential new partners, but also the kiddos. You know, one thing I want to comment, after I got divorced, I went out into the dating market. I'm going to tell you, people, and I'm not saying I'm perfect because I'm a long way from it. There are a lot of wounded people out there, wounded emotionally, psychologically. And I firmly believe part of that reason is because of the divorce process, the methodology. You know, I often told my friends as I was going through a divorce, I said, you know, I'm not really hurt by the separation of the human. Like, I've processed that. I'm good with that. It's the methodology. It's the system that can make you sour and really bitter towards people and attorneys. And just, you know, I literally told my attorney, I don't have any more money. Stop billing me. You think the billing stopped? No, it just kept coming. It would be comparable if I had a client, and as a psychologist, that came to me and said, Dr. P, you know, I really don't have the money. Is there a way we can work this out? I just don't have the money right now. Can we defer payments? I would say absolutely. Let's get your treatment done. Let's get you, healthy, and then we'll figure out the money. I wouldn't just keep billing people when they told me I don't have any money. So that new awareness, that new level of introspection can really help lessen the emotional hardship that goes on with traditional divorces. And then the last one, self-compassion. Have compassion for yourself, have compassion for others. Divorce is a very, very difficult process. The DSM-6, the American the Diagnostic Statistical Manual that analyzes psychological syndromes and their impact, it's rated number 4 on the DSM for traumatic events that you can go through, behind murder and losing the death of a loved one, that type thing. So it's very, very perceived, at least, as traumatic. But you know what? We're in 2022, almost 2023. But I believe, people, that this is the future. Conscious uncoupling is the future because it teaches self-compassion, other compassion, putting our children first, and not fighting. You know, we have this notion in our society that if we get divorced, we've got to be angry at each other. We've got to be upset at each other. We've got to be fighting. That's not the case, people. Sometimes we just are on this journey for a period of time. You know, my life coach, she's amazing. Her name's Tammy down in Fort Lauderdale. She said to me, she says, you know what? Your ex was chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're going into chapter 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's other chapters in life, people. It doesn't have to mean that we're angry and we're upset at people and there's fighting, because the children are the ones that are going off into the world with this pain, emotional pain, psychological pain that they're putting out into the world. And I've often said this as a subtopic to this. I've often said, why does it seem that most people have an issue with self-concept and self-esteem? Like, 8 out of 10 people on the street, you ask them if they'd get up and give a speech in front of somebody, 8 out of 10 said they don't want to do it. You know why? Because of self-concept, self-esteem. They're worried about how people will judge them. My belief is we are cultivating kids that come out of families with emotional and psychological wounds, largely because the divorce rate's hovering right around 58, 59%. We are putting kids out into the world with these emotional and psychological wounds because of our fighting. And conscious uncoupling really teaches us compassion, love, understanding. My job as a psychologist is never, ever, ever to judge people. It's to understand people. And if we go into this conscious uncoupling process by seeking to understand our partner, seeking to enable them, to help them, and you support each other through this co-parenting process, oh my gosh, Becky, what could happen, through that process? So thank you for tuning in to Brain Foreplay, where you get your checkup from the neck up on Mental Mondays. Remember, conscious uncoupling is a loving and kind way.
Don't forget to join us next week. Same place, same time. To get your checkup from the neck up, fortified by Foreplay. That's Brain Foreplay. And please remember to subscribe to this channel wherever you get your podcast.